All right, I'm going to call the meeting to order. This is the fifth meeting of the House Elections, Constitutional Amendments, and Intergovernmental Affairs Committee. Call to order. Madam Secretary, please call the roll.
Representative Baker, Representative Bivens,
Here.
Representative Branscombe,
Here.
Representative Callaway, Representative Chester Burton, Representative Decker, Representative Gooch, Representative Hancock, Representative Imes,
Present.
Representative Cook, Representative Lewis, Representative Lockett,
Here.
Representative Marzian, Representative Roberts, Vice Chair Hodgson,
Here.
Chair Johnson.
Here.
Okay, if y'all would join me, Representative Imes is going to lead us in a prayer, and then we're going to say the pledge. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, I just want to remind everybody to please turn your microphones on so you have a bright green light before you speak, and to record your votes before the committees. Silence or turn off your cell phones, and we are using the 24-hour rule for committee amendments and committee substitutes to the extent possible. Are there any members who would like to welcome special guests or provide recognition today? Okay, seeing none. Bills for consideration. The only item on the agenda today is House Bill 534, sponsored by Representative D.J. Johnson. And Rep. Johnson, if you would raise your hand, take the oath. Do you solemnly swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Okay, good. And I believe we have a committee substitute under consideration. Is there a motion for the committee? Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, the committee sub is in consideration. Yes. That will be the main body of his conversation, I believe. Okay, Representative Johnson, take it away.
Thank you very much. I am DJ Johnson, State Representative, 13th District, here to present House Bill 543 as amended by the committee substitute. And I will cover the committee substitute changes. They're kind of they're intermixed with the original bill, so I'll do my best to talk about the committee sub separately, but eventually they're going to come together. So hopefully that'll make sense to you. So House Bill 534, along with Representative Decker's House Bill 139, is the result of the combined efforts of the Office of the Secretary of State, the Kentucky Board of Elections, the County Clerks Association, KREF, and other interested parties working throughout the interim period and continuing during the session. The resulting recommendations for making improvements to our election process was comprehensive to the point that I thought we probably should have two different pieces of legislation to make sure that we cover everything in the detail that was necessary. House Bill 534 is the result of those efforts. I mentioned the efforts are ongoing because we have made some recent changes that I want to point out to the committee, that were included in the committee substitute. So we've encouraged that KREF, the County Clerks Association, and the Board of Elections be willing to come talk to us after today's committee meeting. Should we need to have a floor amendment, we'll take a look at that. That being said, I would get into what the committee substitute does and then the bill itself very briefly. Committee Substitute 1 clarifies the timeline for the Administrative Office of Courts to provide a list of persons convicted of felonies to the Board of Elections, and for the Board of Elections to remove those persons from the voter rolls. It provides that process. It authorizes the Board of Elections to enter into agreements with federal agencies to identify non-citizens who are registered to vote in Kentucky. And it identifies what voter information Kentucky will provide to those federal agencies. Specifically, we're identifying name, date of birth, and social security number with no other additional information at this time. It creates a process for individuals identified as non-citizens to provide proof of citizenship and to vote provisionally until citizenship status is verified. And it converts two CREF registry member appointments from the gubernatorial office to one appointment by the Senate President and one appointment by the Speaker of the House. And it does make other technical changes that deal with campaign finance. If you would like to get into those details, I will do that as well, but they're generally technical changes. So that's the critical changes between House Bill 543 and the committee sub. Any questions on the sub?
Violated my microphone rule. The sub is under consideration.
Well, I've got a motion and a second, so unless I'm answering questions, I'm not going to say anything.
All right.
Mr. Chair, point of order.
Yeah.
We had a motion and a second previously on the sub, correct?
Sorry.
Okay, and
All
so
right.
this is motion and second on the bill.
On the bill itself. Okay.
Okay.
All right. You have a question on the floor from. Go ahead, Representative Margin.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. First of all, I want to say that I applaud our Secretary of State, who has been really fabulous in monitoring elections and realizing that we have one of the safest election processes in the U.S. with 0.00001% fraud, which might have been one person in Eastern Kentucky. So we talk occasionally, and I really do applaud Secretary Adams. Also, I was quite thrilled that he refused to turn over records to the federal government, because those are our personal records, and we don't want those shared with people. You know, and I think it would really freeze folks from voting, or freeze out people if they think their records are going to be shared. But my question is, what is the fiscal note on this bill? Because the several secretaries, I've been here forever, of course, so over the years, secretaries of state have come requesting funding for new voting machines that are desperately needed across the state, and I don't think they've been funded adequately. So do you know what the fiscal note of this bill would be?
With this particular bill, the only thing that's of a fiscal nature is in the event that there would need to be a special election. There's a section in the bill that talks about should a local election result in the majority of the like city commissioners. If for some reason majority of city commissioners, the seats were vacated because of some problem with the election, they would have to have a special election. That would involve some kind of financial addition for that county or city. Other than that, this bill doesn't address any additional equipment or anything like that. What the bill does with respect to equipment is, as we move forward, it specifies that the equipment has to meet current standards, but it does not require any new equipment or any new expenditures specifically for that purpose.
So I guess we're not sure what it would cost, but we have to be really careful with this budget, I'm sure.
I would say that that's part of the budget process, but it hasn't got anything to do with this bill.
And have you found any, sorry, Mr. Chair.
You have another question?
Can I ask one more?
Okay, one more.
Sorry. Have you found any voting irregularities or fraud throughout the state?
Over the entire period of my time as a legislator? Is
Forever.
that what you're asking? Actually, in an election that I was involved with, there were a couple of votes that were illegally cast in my own election. So there has been some, but I will go with the number that you had. I haven't heard 0001, whatever the number was, but I would say that we have one of the safest, if not the safest, election processes in the country. That does not mean we can't continue to improve it, though.
Thank you.
Okay, Representative Hancock.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I have a couple questions and concerns regarding this bill. One, just kind of bounce off what Representative Marzan said. You know, on the local mandate, it does say it is expected to have an indeterminable negative fiscal impact on our county clerks. Can you explain what that means in the local impact?
Yeah, that goes back to the scenario I just provided, that there's no additional funding requirements or no additional mandates placed on the county clerks other than in those situations where there might be a special election requirement.
Okay, I think, can I continue, Mr. Chair?
Yes.
I think that we need to be real cautious and jumping the gun on these things. We do have one of the safest elections in a tight budget cycle where we're cutting health care and we're cutting all these things for our folks. We don't need to be spending something on a problem that doesn't exist. So I just kind of wanted to make sure I say that. And I have one follow-up
Well,
question.
if I could just address
Sure.
that, because this is a very specific set of circumstances that has actually happened where there was an administrative error in the election for some local officials, and it resulted in the entire city commission no one being elected, and it allowed for the mayor to provide to appoint the entire city commission, which I think takes the right of the voters away. It was a single instance, and involved only one city. So again, the fiscal impact I think is negligible, and it would be zero if we didn't have a situation like that arise again.
Okay, perfect. And I think that that's, understandable, but we don't need to make sweeping changes for just one isolated event, especially at the cost of what it could cost. But my last question is the appointments. We're taking the governor appointments away from KREF, and they are one Democrat, one Republican. If we go to where the Senate president and the Speaker of the House get to do that, how do we ensure that that becomes a nonpartisan issue?
So I would say that's actually a valid concern. It's an issue that one of those things that we have been talking about in just the last few days, and I think we would address that in a floor amendment. And what I think I'm going to suggest is, rather than convert it from the gubernatorial appointments to the House and Senate, that we would have the gubernatorial appointments stay in place, but have Senate oversight on it like we do with so many other appointments.
You have any further questions? All right, we've got let's see, we have some people signed up to speak on the bill. John Steffen from KREF. Any comments from you, sir? I don't need to speak. Okay.
I think we talked beforehand, and he was making
Okay.
himself available if there were any questions with respect to campaign finance reform.
Okay. What's it? We have Danetta Allen from the Clerks Association signed up to speak. Okay. Please introduce yourself for the record and make sure your mic is on. You may proceed.
Good morning. My name is Danetta Ford Allen, and I'm the Rockcastle County Clerk, and I'm honored to serve as the president of the Kentucky County Clerks Association this year. As introduced, Kentucky County Clerks do not currently support House Bill 534. While we have not yet fully had the opportunity to review the committee substitute, my comments today will focus on the bill as introduced and the primary concerns that we have with it. In the interest of time, I will focus my remarks on the three of those biggest concerns, but to be clear, those are not our only concerns. First, while county clerks appreciate the intent behind allowing Kentucky to use the federal citizenship information available through the SAVED Act, we do feel that it will put eligible Kentucky voters at risk of becoming ineligible and incorrectly removed from the voter rolls. This would require clerks to spend significant amount of time and resources helping voters restore their registrations. That's time and resources that could otherwise be devoted to election administration. If the General Assembly wishes to utilize the SAVE service, there are more accurate and less disruptive ways to do so. Second, clerks do not support allowing ballot images or cast vote records to be displayed online. The Kentucky Court of Appeals recently upheld the Boone County Clerk's decision to deny an open records request for cast paper ballots, agreeing that public viewing would violate the voter privacy protections in Kentucky's Constitution. The same constitutional risk would exist if ballot images were displayed online. In addition, making ballot images publicly accessible could facilitate vote buying by allowing individuals to provide proof of how they voted, undermining election integrity. For example, a voter could write in a certain name in the write-in spot, or they could make a mark that they have agreed upon in a location on a paper ballot. Third, the bill does include the emergency clause that would cause it to take effect immediately upon becoming law. This would result in significant changes to the Kentucky election law only weeks before the May primary and after some absentee ballots, probably quite a few, have already been submitted to the county clerk. This would create confusion for both the voter and the administrators alike. In closing, I do sincerely appreciate the willingness of Chairman Johnson and Representative Hodgson to engage with the county clerks and to listen thoughtfully to these concerns. We know that lawmaking is a process, and we respect that process, and we continue to be a partner in it. We all share the same goal: protecting election integrity while ensuring every eligible Kentucky voter has access to the ballot and confidence in the system. We stand ready to work together through House floor amendments and Senate changes that address these issues. And I thank you for your time and your consideration on this.
All right, thank you. Yeah.
If I may respond, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, please do, Representative Branscombe.
So I just want to touch on a couple of things, and I appreciate the Clerks Association coming forward with their concerns, and that's the reason I mentioned that this has been an ongoing process, and we've had conversations about these issues, and we're working on them. I'll just touch on them very quickly with respect to the citizenship process. The SAVE Act, frankly, is a moving target at this point. We are trying to identify what we can do, what we feel comfortable with doing, and that's the reason I mentioned that the information that we're going to provide is very specific: name, date of birth, and social security number, which is actually already available at the federal level. I share probably everyone here's opinion that we need to protect voter integrity, period. So we're working on that. With respect to the actual process of citizenship confirmation, it probably will involve some additional effort on our parts. I'm not going to argue with that. I don't know that we can ignore that, though. So that's an issue that we'll have a conversation about. With respect to the ballot images, if you're curious about it, it starts on page 9 at the bottom of the committee sub, goes to page 10. Basically what this is, it's a technology that's, I would call it an emerging technology that has the capability of maybe answering some of the questions that the voting public has about voter ballots, voter integrity, that sort of thing. I will emphasize again, it is an emerging technology, easy for me to say. And in this, the language in the bill makes it totally permissive. What it does is allow a county, should they want to become involved or take a look at this technology, if they feel that they want to use it, it would allow them to do it. I will be very honest, in the real world, I think there's two issues with this technology as it becomes available. One is there are technical concerns about do we absolutely make sure that voter integrity is maintained? And I think they're addressing that, the software developers. And the second thing is simply cost. This is not a cheap system at this point. Those two things, keeping those two things in mind, I'm not sure that a county in Kentucky would be interested in this technology at this time. What we did with the purpose of this language is to allow counties to look at it, allow them to start investigating it. We don't want to keep them from being able to do that, but at the same time, there are no mandates. Having said all that, one of the conversations we've had is perhaps taking that section out in a floor amendment. We will continue to have that conversation, and we'll reach a conclusion on that. And I'd ask, are there any questions about that technology, because it is emerging. It's a pretty new technology.
Representative Branscombe.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you all. A couple questions, and I'll follow up between each one. Let's go to the technology portion of it. If this is an emerging technology, shouldn't we kind of hit the pause button and let it kind of run its course and see and let it develop a little bit more before because this, and I know it's permissive, but this bill also has an emergency on it as well, correct?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And so that's one concern that I have is, should we not just hit the pause button on that and let's.
Could I answer that?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
So I would have no problem with that.
Yeah.
This is something, as we talked about the bill and as we talked about looking forward and trying to be proactive, I thought it was appropriate to put in there that they could look at it. If it's a concern, then I have no problem whatsoever with taking it out.
One follow-up.
Yes.
Yeah, thank you. I guess my second question would be, and this might go to Ms. Allen, is with this having an emergency clause on it, what does that do for I guess, timing? I mean, the days are getting shorter. You know, it's approaching. So
Yeah.
how does that affect
Yes, with
implementation
the
of some of these
primary
things?
obviously being May the 19th and this becoming law just as, as soon as it's passed. We're already preparing ballots. Absentee ballots will go out. The portal will open 45 days prior to the election, so we'll be in the midst of it. So it is very time problematic.
Okay.
And
All
if I
right.
may respond
Yes,
to that.
sir. Yes.
Same thing. We put the emergency clause on it because I don't believe there's anything in this bill that would cause heartache before the primary. However, I'm open to the possibility of just setting an implementation date that is after the primary. We can talk about that. Again, this is so technical. When we talk about elections, every single thing we talk about is technical. So as we move forward, we keep looking for, okay, are we doing it right? Are we got the right thing in place? Are we covering all the bases? And that's why we have floor amendments.
Yeah.
So I'm very open to consideration on the
Thank you,
concerns
Chairman.
had.
Thank you, Vice Chair.
Okay. Representative Margin.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Since we seem to have issues or concerns on both sides of the aisle, would you be willing to hold this for a week in committee so we could work with the County Clerks Association and get this bill out where we want it? Sometimes floor amendments can be messy. It's hard to, I'd just like to see it all fixed before it gets to the floor. If you would be willing to do that.
Well, I appreciate your concern, but I think that we are to the point in the details that we have that we can handle this quite easily with the floor amendment. And we're not going to rush a vote. I'm not going to try to push a vote tomorrow and on the floor or something like that. We'll take the time to have the floor amendment proper, but we need to move forward. The clock is ticking on the session, so I appreciate your thought. I just think that we can handle it without an issue.
Okay. We do have an active motion for consideration of this bill with the committee substitute. Are there any further questions before we vote? Okay. Madam Clerk, call the roll.
Representative Baker, Representative Bivens,
Explain my vote. I'm going to be a yes today. I believe the chairman to be a very admirable and honorable man, and I would like to see, because I think there is some stuff to work out here. Obviously we want to not do anything that's going to be cumbersome to our county clerks out there. So I would love to see you, clean this up before we get to the House floor. That way we have a House floor amendment to go with this and kind of straighten it out. But I do think the intent behind this is very good. So for that reason, I am a yes today.
Representative Branscombe,
Explain my vote.
Yes. Sir.
All right. Thank you.
Representative Callaway.
Oh, he's going to explain his vote.
I'm sorry.
Oh, you're fine. Likewise, Mr. Chairman, I know you work hard on these things, and I got trust in you, and I do have some concerns. I just want to make sure our clerks and the state board are all good with it, because they're the downstream is who's going to have to be dealing with it. So, I trust the process. I know you're going to be working with them. So I'll vote yes to get this thing out of committee. Thank you.
Representative Callaway, Representative Chester Burton,
Explain my vote, if I may. Today I'm going to pass and just see what's going to happen between now and on the floor, if this gets out of committee, because of the concerns I have regarding timing and with the city clerks and whether or not they're going to be able to additionally work with you to kind of clean this up. So right now I'm going to pass. Thank you.
Representative Decker,
Explain my vote. For all the reasons stated about perhaps trusting you and working with you, I'm going to be a yes today to get it to that point. Thank you.
Representative Gooch,
Yes.
Representative Hancock,
I'd like to explain my vote. This bill creates sweeping election changes without documented need, fiscal transparency, or adequate voter protections in the current form. So that reason I'm a no. Thank you.
Representative Hodgson,
Yes.
Representative Imes,
Yes.
Representative Cook,
Yes.
Representative Lewis,
Explain my vote.
Yes.
I'm a yes, and I also know Representative Johnson. The concern's been raised here today. I'm confident he'll take care of that. So I'm a yes here in committee. Thank you.
Representative Lockett,
Yes.
Representative Marzan,
Can I briefly explain my vote, Mr. Chair?
Yes.
Thank you so much. I'm a no today, and probably on the floor, because I think we really don't need this bill. We need to make sure that we have voting that's accessible, easy for voters, and I've always been an advocate to let people go vote at any precinct they want to. Now that we have computers, if they have an ID, that'd be fine. But I think this sets up roadblocks. I think it's going to be really difficult for our county clerks, and we have no idea how much it's going to cost. I mean, I'm asking for money in the budget to feed people and for children, and it's going to be difficult to get that in the budget. So I'm a no.
Representative Roberts, Chair Johnson.
Yes, I will not explain my vote.
Okay, House Bill 534 as amended by the committee substitute passes with favorable expression. 9 votes yes, 2 votes no, 1 pass. And should do the same on the floor. Our last order of business is adjournment. Do I have a motion? Okay, we stand adjourned. Thank you.